Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we are going to look back at the history of English literature. A Journey Through Time by Umair Lagari. Overview of English literature history. Basically, if we trace major periods of English literature has evolved through distinct periods, each marked by unique styles, significant authors, and transformative historical backgrounds. There are various periods and ages of English literature that we are going to discuss in this video. We will just have a glance over the periods and we will try to understand the chronicle order of English literature. We will deal with the English literature, its background and development in this video. The first period of English literature is the Old English period. It is also called as Anglo-Saxon period. The Anglo-Saxon period started from 450 till 1066. It is characterized by the emergence of Anglo-Saxon language and literature. It is the earliest phase of English literature that started with the Anglo-Saxon literature of the Angles and Saxons. They were the ancestors of English race. But before they occupied Britain, English was common name and tongue of these tribes. Before they occupied Britain, they lived along the coasts of Sweden and Denmark, and the land which they occupied was called England, and now we call it as England. The famous work of this period was Beowulf, which was an epic poem. It stands as the most notable work of this era. It reflects the heroic ideals and the struggles of early medieval society. Besides this famous work, there was many other famous works, and Anglo-Saxon period was also marked by the beginning of the English prose, like chronicles, which were famous work of the King Alfred's time. On the other hand, Cynewulf and Caedmon were the famous of this period. After Anglo-Saxon, the period that starts is Middle English or Anglo-Norman period. Anglo-Norman period starts from 1100 till 1500, roughly. The linguistic transformation during this era, Norman conquest significantly influenced English, blending Old English with Norman French, creating a rich linguistic tapestry. As we see at the background, the Normans were residents of the Normandy. It was a region of France. They defeated Anglo-Saxon kings at the Battle of Hastings in 1066 and they conquered England. Influential work of this period include Geoffrey Chaucer, which is called the father of English poetry. His famous work was Canterbury Tales, emerged presenting a vivid portrayal of medieval society, utilizing a range of characteristics and dialectics to convey the diverse stories. After Middle English periods, it starts the Renaissance. The Renaissance period started from 1500 till 1600, and this period is also called as the Age of Shakespeare, and this is the golden period. It is also called the Elizabethan period. The Middle Ages of Europe were followed by the Renaissance. Renaissance means rebirth. From about 1500 to 1600, the world was reborn in many ways. The Renaissance actually began in Italy, especially in art and architecture in the 15th century, as England became the most powerful nation in the Europe in the late 16th century. New words were discovered and new ways of seeing and thinking developed. The famous works that were written in this period by the Shakespeare, by the Marlowe, Lilly, and George Pilley. The famous writers was University Waits, Shakespeare, Marlowe, and John George Pilley. These were the famous writers of this period. After Renaissance or Elizabethan period, the period that started was called Neoclassical period. It spans about 100 years. The reason and the order. The Neoclassical period emphasized rational thought and classical ideas, leading to works characterized by structures, decorum, and the moral structures. This period includes the Puritan age, which is further divided into the age of the Jacobean or Carolingian period. After the names of the rulers James I and the Charles I, who ruled from the 1603 to 1625 and 1625 to 1620, 49 respectively, and the Restoration period, which is the age of Trident. These periods are included in Neoclassical period. The influential authors of these periods were Jane Austen, whose work was Pride and Prejudice. It is a novel that exemplifies this era, showcasing wit and the societal critic, while reflecting the value of order and reason and literature. After the neoclassical period, the age or the period that starts, it is called the Romantic period. Emotion and individualism. The Romantic period emphasized the importance of personal experience, emotion, and the nature, reflecting a shift from earlier literary traditions. And after restoration period in 1660, when Charles II came to the throne, there was a complete repudiation of the Puritan ideals and the ways of living. In English literature, the period from 1660 to 70 is called the period of restoration because the monarchy was restored. So after this period, when the period that started was another period that was the 18th century period, and was called the a classical age, in which we included Augustan age of good sense, age of reason. And after these periods, restoration periods, there was the age of Pope, age of Johnsons, and they contributed towards the literature of English literature, and they worked in English language, and they also contributed in the novels, and they wrote many works that contributed to the English literature. Then the Romantic age started that we are discussing, and William Wordsworth was the famous, and Coleridge and many other writers that contributed to the imitation of this era or this period and the English literature. Romantic poetry, romantic writing was seen throughout this period. Keats was the passionate a love for visible world. At their times, his approach was highly sensuous. So many other writers contributed. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein remains a seminal work exploring themes of the creation, responsibility, and the human conditions while challenging to the norms of this period. After Romantic period, we have another period that is called the age of Victorian spirit or Victorian spirit. So Victorian spirit starts from 1837 to 1901. It spans throughout this period, and the social change was the Victorian age marked significant social transformations reflecting the effects of the Industrial Revolution and the rise of the middle class. Major works: Charles Dickens' The Great Expectations epitomizes the era, exploring themes of the social class and personal growth through the journey of Pip. So, modern period of the English literature, that is the experimentation and innovation period of experimentation and innovation. Modern period from 1901 till 1945 that same that faced world wars. It was marked by literary experimentation and the exploration of the human psyche in the literature. Notable works include James Joyce's Ulysses remains a defining work celebrated for its intricate structure and stream of consciousness narrative technique that challenge traditional storytelling. The post-modern period in English literature that is marked by experimentation from the form and style, questioning the nature of reality and narrative structures in English literature. Prominent voices of these periods, Toni Morrison's beloved exemplifies postmodern literature exploring themes of identity and memory while challenging conventional storytelling through its fragmented narrative. This was a trace back of the English literature in a short clip. Hope you will understand it. Thanks.